Days of Wine and Roses is a 1962 film directed by Blake Edwards with a screenplay by J.P. Miller adapted from his own 1958 Playhouse 90 teleplay of the same name. The movie was produced by Martin Manulize, with music by Henry Mancini, and features Jack Lemmon, Lee Remick, Charles Bickford and Jack Klugman. The film depicts the downward spiral of two average Americans who succumb to alcoholism and attempt to deal with their problem. An Academy Award went to the film's theme music, composed by Mancini with lyrics by Johnny Mercer. The film received 4 other Oscar nominations, including ones for Best Actor and Best Actress. Plot: public relations man Joe Clay meets and falls in love with Kirsten Arneson, a secretary. Kirsten is a teetotaler until Joe introduces her to social drinking. Reluctant at first, after her first few brandy Alexanders, she admits that having their drink made me feel good, despite the misgivings of her father, who runs a San Mateo landscaping business. They get married and have a daughter named Debbie. Joe slowly goes from their two-martini lunch to full-blown alcoholism. It affects his work and, in due time, he and Kirsten both succumb to the pleasures and pain of addiction. Joe is demoted due to poor performance brought on by too much booze. He is sent out of town on business. Kirsten finds the best way to pass the time is to drink, and she drinks a lot. While drunk one afternoon, she causes a fire in their apartment and almost killed herself and the child. Joe eventually gets fired from the public relations firm and goes from job to job over the next several years. One day, Joe walks by a bar and looks at his reflection in the window. He goes home and says to his wife, "I walked by Union Square Bar. I was going to go in. Then I saw myself, my reflection in the window, and I thought, I wonder who that bum is, and then I saw it was me. Now look at me. I'm a bum. Look at me. Look at you. You're a bum. Look at you. And look at us. Look at us. Seaman, look at us. See, a couple of bums, seeking escape from their addiction." Joe and Kirsten work together in Mr. Arneson's business and succeed in staying sober for a while. However, the urges are too strong, and after a late-night drinking binge, Joe destroys his father-in-law's greenhouse and plants while looking for a stashed bottle of liquor. After commitment to a sanitarium wearing a straitjacket, Joe finally gets sober for a while, with the help of Alcoholics Anonymous, a dedicated sponsor named Jim Hungerford, and regular AA meetings. When Joe tries to help Kirsten, he instead ends up drinking again, and goes to a liquor store that closed for the night. Joe breaks into the store and steals a bottle, resulting in another trip to the sanitarium, stripped down and tied to a treatment table. Hungerford warns him that he must keep sober no matter what, even if that means staying away from Kirsten. He explains to Joe how alcoholics often demonstrate obsessive behavior, pointing out that Kirsten's previous love of chocolate may have been the first sign of an addictive personality, and counsels him that most drinkers hate to drink alone in the company of sober people. Joe eventually becomes sober for close to a year and a responsible father to his child while holding down a steady job. He tries to make amends with his father-in-law by offering him a payment for past debts and wrongs, but Mr. Arneson lashes out at him for indirectly getting Kirsten involved in the alcoholic lifestyle. After calming down, Arneson says that Kirsten has been disappearing for long stretches of time and picking up strangers in bars. One night, after Debbie is asleep, Kirsten comes to their apartment to attempt a reconciliation. Joe sees that if he were to give in, it could lead to more of his previous self-destructive behavior. Kirsten longs for going back to the way it was, but as Joe explains to her, "You remember how it really was? You and me and booze, a threesome. You and I were a couple of drunks on the sea of booze, and the boat sank. I got hold of something that kept me from going under, and I'm not going to let go of it. Not for you. Not for anyone. If you want to grab on, grab on. but there's just room for you and me, no threesome. Kirsten refuses to admit she's an alcoholic, but does acknowledge that without alcohol, she can't get over how dirty everything looks. You better give up on me, she says. When Debbie asks, Daddy, will Mommy ever get well? He says, I did, didn't I? When Kirsten leaves, Joe fights the urge to go after her. He looks down the street where Kirsten is walking, a bar sign reflecting in the window. Cast, production, background. J.P. Miller found his title in the 1896 poem Vitissima brevis spem nos vitatinca herlongum by the English writer Ernest Dowson. It also inspired the title song devised by Henry Mancini and Johnny Mercer. They are not long, the weeping and the laughter, love and desire and hate, I think they have no portion in us after we pass the gate. They are not long, the days of wine and roses. Out of a misty dream our path emerges for a while, then closes within a dream. Miller's teleplay for Playhouse 90, also titled Days of Wine and Roses, had received favorable critical attention and was nominated for an Emmy in the category Best Writing of a Single Dramatic Program, 1 hour or longer. Manulize, a Playhouse 90 producer, decided the material was ideal for a groundbreaking movie. Some critics observed that the movie lacked the impact of the original television production, which starred Cliff Robertson as Joe and Piper Laurie as Kirsten. In an article written for DVD Journal, critic D.K. Holm noted numerous changes that altered the original considerably when the material was filmed. He cites as an example the hiring of Jack Lemmon. With his participation, little remained of the founding teleplay, except for actor Charles Bickford reprising his role. Filming the film's Northern California locations included San Francisco, Albany and the Golden Gate Fields racetrack. The Oscar-winning title song had music by Henry Mancini and lyrics by Johnny Mercer. Single records by Andy Williams in the Henry Mancini chorus made the Billboard Top 40. Director Blake Edwards became a non-drinker a year after completing the film and went into substance recovery. He said that he and Jack Lemmon were heavy drinkers while making the film. Edwards used the theme of alcohol abuse often in his films, including 10, Blind Date and Skin Deep. Both Lemmon and Remick sought help from Alcoholics Anonymous long after they had completed the film. Lemmon revealed to James Lipton on Inside the Actors Studio his past drinking problems and his recovery. The film had a lasting effect in helping alcoholics deal with their problem. Today, Days of Wine and Roses is required viewing in many alcoholic and drug rehabilitation clinics across America. In the same Inside the Actors Studio interview, Lemmon stated that there was pressure by the studio to change the ending. To preserve the integrity of the movie, scenes were filmed in the same order as they appeared in the script, with the last scene filmed last. This is in contrast with the standard practice of filming different scenes together that take place in the same location, which reduces expenses, shortens the schedule and aids with scheduling the actors' time on set. Immediately following the completion of filming, Lemmon left for Europe and remained out of communication so that the studio would be forced to release the movie without changing the storyline. Reception, box office and release. The producers used the following ironic tagline to market the film: "This, in its own terrifying way, is a love story." The picture opened in wide release in the United States on December 26, 1962. The box office receipts for the film were good given the numbers reported in $1,962. It earned $4 million in the U.S. theatrical rentals, making it the 15th highest-grossing film of the year. Total domestic sales were $8,123,077. Critical response. The film became one of Blake Edwards' best-regarded films, opening to praise from the critics and audiences alike. New York Times film critic Bosley Crowther wrote, "It is a commanding picture, and it is extremely well played by Mr. Lemmon and Miss Remick, who spare themselves none of the shameful, painful scenes." But for all their brilliant performing and the taut direction of Blake Edwards, they do not bring two pitiful characters to complete an overpowering life. The staff at Variety magazine liked the film, especially the acting. Writing, Miller's grueling drama illustrates how the unquenchable lure of alcohol can supersede even love, and how marital communication cannot exist in a house divided by one-sided boozing. Lemmon gives a dynamic and chilling performance. Scenes of his collapse, particularly in the violent ward, are brutally realistic and terrifying. Remick, too, is effective, and there is solid featured work from Charles Bickford and Jack Klugman in fine supporting performances. In a review of the DVD, critic Gary W. Tooze lauded Edwards' direction and the acting, writing Blake Edwards' powerful adaptation of J.P. Miller's Playhouse 90 story, starring Jack Lemmon and Lee Remick in career performances, remains a variation in his body of work largely devoted to comedy. Lemmon is at his best and ditto for Remick in this harrowing tale of people consumed by their mutual addiction. This turns to an honest and heartbreaking portrayal of alcoholism as deftly done as any film I can remember. Margaret Parsons, film curator at the National Gallery of Art, said, "The film remains one of the most gut-wrenching dramas of alcohol-related ruin and recovery ever captured on film, and it's also one of the pioneering films of the genre." The review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes reported that 100% of critics gave the film a positive review. Based on 7 reviews. Awards. Academy Awards wins Best Original Song, Henry Mancini and Johnny Mercer. Academy Awards nominations: Best Actor, Jack Lemmon. Best Actress, Lee Remick. Best Art Direction, Joseph C. Wright and George James Hopkins. Best Costume Design, Don Feld. Other wins: San Sebastian International Film Festival. OCIC Award, Blake Edwards. Prize, San Sebastian. Best Actor, Jack Lemmon. Best Actress, Lee Remick, 1963. Fotogramas de Plata, Spain. Fotogramas de Plata, Best Foreign Performer, Jack Lemmon, 1964. Other nominations: Golden Globes. Golden Globe, Best Motion Drama Picture, Best Motion Drama Picture Actor, Jack Lemmon. Best Motion Drama Picture Actress, Lee Remick. Best Motion Picture Director, Blake Edwards, 1963. British Academy of Film and Television Arts. BAFTA Film Award, Best Film from Any Source, USA. Best Foreign Actor, Jack Lemmon. Best Foreign Actress, Lee Remick, 1964. Other honors was selected by the film critics of the New York Times as one of the 1,000 best films ever made. Selected as one of American Film Institute's best 400 films. Notable quotes: Joe. My name is Joe Clay. I'm an alcoholic. Kirsten. Thanks for the compliment, but I know how I look. This is the way I look when I'm sober. It's enough to make a person drink, wouldn't you say? You see, the world looks so dirty to me when I'm not drinking. Joe. Remember Fisherman's Wharf? The water when you look too close. That's the way the world looks to me when I'm not drinking. Home media. A DVD of the film was released on January 6, 2001 by Warner Home Video. The DVD contains an extra commentary track by director Blake Edwards, and an interview with Jack Lemmon. A Laserdisc was released in 1990.